Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this episode, we are going to take a look at the new 12 team college football playoff that's happening this year, why I'm super excited for it, and maybe to clear up some of the questions that you might have about the format. There might be some little tidbits that you might not have realized. So we'll dive deep into all of that. And then we are going to start a weekly preview of what would happen if the playoffs started today with the updated rankings. So we will be taking a look at that. So let's get into it, guys. Right, so I do have to admit something. I have actually been pretty disappointed in college football over the past few years, and part of that has had to do with the college football playoff. Once the BCS was gone away and they decided to go with this college football playoff, I thought I would be pretty excited about it. But then when they announced it would only be 4 teams, even though you have 5 power conferences, it still left me scratching my head and going, why are they doing it this way? And I know that there was a lot of reasons to preserve the integrity of the regular season, to keep the season shorter, and all of that stuff. But it just never really made sense to me, especially when you have so many teams in the at the FBS level. And really, what it did, even more than the BCS, is I felt like a lot of teams just didn't really have much to play for. First of all, group of 5, you were hardly ever had a chance unless you were like a Cincinnati who ran the table and just looked really impressive, and you still had to have some chaos happen in front of you in order to even have a chance to get in. But other group of 5 schools or even middle of the road power 5 teams, it was like once your team lost once or twice, it's like, what were you playing for? And so that made watching college football in December and January just completely pointless for me. So the prayers have been answered, and they are actually now finally going with a 12-team playoff, which I am super excited. It's reinvigorated my liking for college football, and I'm excited. Mostly just it's fun to kind of project on what will happen and where all the pieces will land. So let's talk a little bit about what that structure is. So you have 12 teams, and 5 of those will come from the highest ranked conference champions. So I love that already. What that means is that the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion is going to automatically get in. And that used to be 6 before the downfall of the Pac-12, so then they lowered it to 5, but I'm still okay with that. Once you get those 5 solidified, you then have the next 7 highest ranked teams that will be added into the playoffs. Once you get all of your contestants, the first 4 seeds 1 through 4, are reserved for conference champions. I love that because that still plays emphasis on getting and winning your conference champion. I liken it a little bit to the NFL, where divisions actually matter. You want to win your division because the reward is you get to host a playoff game. So I think that's cool here that you win your conference, and most likely you'll be able to not necessarily host, but you'll be able to receive a first round bye and be automatically advanced to the quarterfinals. That still puts some emphasis on making sure that every game matters. And then seeds 5 through 12 will play in a first round game at the higher seeds location or a designated spot by them, which I think is really cool. Having playoff games on college campuses will be electric. I mean, imagine a group of 5 conference champion going to a powerhouse like Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State and playing in a playoff atmosphere with that crowd. I think that would be completely electric and awesome. So let's break it down a little bit further. After you get past the first round, then you enter into the quarterfinals with the top 4 seeds, and those are played at neutral sites and hosted by the big bowls that we're used to seeing. So currently we have 6 big bowls. 4 of them will host the quarterfinals, and then 2 of them will host the semifinals. You have the Sugar Bowl, you have the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. And these work on a rotation over the course of each year. They rotate in and out whether or not they host a quarterfinal or a semifinal. And this is the part that I had to do some research on, is like, okay, well, who determines which bowl hosts which quarterfinal game? The way it works is that certain bowls have conference tie-ins. For example, the Sugar Bowl is tied in with the SEC. The Rose Bowl is tied in with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. The Orange Bowl is tied in with the ACC. So they will start with the number 1 seed. If that seed has a conference tie-in to any of those bowls, then that bowl will be the one to host that seed. And then it works its way down each of the seeding if there's a conference tie-in. If not, then they will take geography into consideration. And then once you get to the semifinals, the highest seed remaining gets to pick which bowl they want to play in, which I think is kind of cool. And then the next highest will get to pick their bowl, or they will just get the remaining bowl, obviously. And then the championship game is just played at a rotating site. So this year they will be playing at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta, Georgia. So I have taken the AP poll rankings as it currently stands for week 4, and we are going to plug that into this playoff system and see what kind of matchups that we are going to get if the playoffs were to start today. And we will do this every single week and just kind of see overall how it changes from week to week. Let's jump into it. So first off, let's go through the top 4 seeds. The number 1 seed you have right now would actually be Texas, who just overpassed Georgia to be ranked 1 in the nation. So who knows if that will last, but that's where they currently sit. And they would obviously host the Sugar Bowl as if you can believe it or not, the SEC representative. Number 2, even though Georgia is ranked number 2, because they wouldn't be a conference championship, according to the rankings, they would be behind Texas. That number 2 seed would then fall to Ohio State, who, as the Big Ten representative, would have that affiliation with the Rose Bowl. So they would be going to Pasadena. The number 3 seed then drops all the way down past a lot of higher ranked teams to Miami, who would be the ACC representative. They would host the Peach Bowl, as that would be the closest site available that's left, which leaves the number 4 seed to Utah, who would be the Big 12 representative, and they would play in the Fiesta Bowl. So let's jump into these first round playoff games. First off, we have the number 5 seed Georgia, who just dropped down from the number 1 seed. They will host NIU, Northern Illinois, as the Group of 5 representative. And I want to pause here for a second because I just want to highlight again one more reason why I love this 12-team format. I used to be all for a 16-team playoff just to make sure every conference champion representative gets in, but I'm starting to lean more towards this 12-team playoff format because I do like what we're doing with the 5 seed here. A lot of times that 5 seed, it could be very likely that they will be higher ranked than a lot of other conference champions. For example, they're ranked number 2 in the country, but they are the second best team in their conference per the rankings. Yes, they wouldn't get a top 4 seed, but their consolation prize is that first they get to host the worst seed, which is usually a Group of 5 conference champion, and it's stereotypical that there's going to be a large gap between those 2 teams usually. And then if they dismantle it like that team like they should, they then get the next worst conference champion as the 4 seed. And so really they almost get the best draw possible in order to get to a semifinal game. So I feel like it's still a less formidable path. It still rewards finishing high in the rankings and still doing well throughout the season. So I like that. So yeah, we have Georgia hosting Northern Illinois bumping up the rankings after beating Notre Dame. I'm hoping that Boise State will run the table and Northern Illinois will falter somewhere. Boise State's kind of on the heels of them. I think they're ranked like number 27 in the rankings so far. So it will be interesting to see who's going to come out of that Group of 5 group. But currently right now we got Northern Illinois. The number 8 and 9 seed actually did a flip-flop from the last week. Before it was actually Missouri hosting Tennessee. but probably because Tennessee scored 71 points by the start of the fourth quarter, and Missouri had some problems with their ranked opponent, Boston College, which is kind of silly that Missouri would drop after that. But either way, we're just flip-flopping the host site, and that could go back and forth. An SEC matchup that you have, but they do not play each other this year. And then the winner going on to play the SEC champion. So you got a whole SEC quadrant there. Then you have Alabama, who is ranked, I think, number 4 in the nation, but they are 6 in the poll. They will be hosting Penn State, who dropped 1 spot, and the winner of that will probably be the favorite, though, against Miami in the Peach Bowl. And then lastly, you have Oregon as the 10 seed, traveling to Ole Miss as the 7 seed in a matchup, which I think would be a great matchup there. Oregon, obviously in the Big Ten now, and is kind of developing a rival with Ohio State. If they were able to pull off that upset against Ole Miss, they would be able to enter in that not only a Big Ten rivalry now, but it would just be cool to see Oregon going back to the Rose Bowl, since they used to be in the Pac-12, and you have an Oregon-Ohio State matchup that is like old Pac-12 versus current still Big Ten, even though both of them are technically in the Big Ten now. So exciting what this looks like. It's quite a bit different than what we had last week, and we'll continue to monitor this and show you this as it develops. So overall, I think this is a great addition for college football. It's reinvigorated my interest in the sport. And so as these races get tighter and as these teams, even these top teams, start to play each other and kind of knock each other off, it'll be interesting to see who climbs up the rankings and earns that spot. And obviously you will probably see a shakeup with this format as well once you see the official CFP rankings come out, because they tend to be quite a bit different than the initial AP poll as well. So we'll keep you posted. But anyways, guys, just wanted to take you on that little journey of what the 12-team playoff will look like, show you some of the nuances that you might not have been aware of, especially with like the bowl shuffling and things like that. But let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to end up? Do you like the 12-team format? Is it the right number, or would you prefer differently? Let me know how you feel about all of it in the comments. And if you do like this content, please help the channel grow by liking and subscribing. And we will catch you out on the next video. Thanks, guys.